introduce myself. My name is Arnold Bloom. I am a faculty member at the University of California at Davis and a member of the CAMEL program, which you'll see in this slide here. This is the group that got together to look at climate adaptation, mitigation, e-learning, and Stephanie Furman came up with the acronym CAMEL, which we found to have lots of possibilities of extending that. I am broadcasting, or whatever you call it, from my house, and the reason I'm doing it from my house is that my university office has such poor bandwidth that I can't actually work there. And this is an issue that we will bring up later, that bandwidth is king or queen when it comes to online education, and it seems to be never enough of it. So here's our group, a bold group here. I don't know how many of them are here. They've heard me talk ad nauseum. And the ringleader of this all is Ginny Brown, who is giving me technical assistance, and she's a CAMEL herder. I said we had a lot of possibilities for the name, and we're exploiting it partially here. The point I want to make is that we have a lot of challenges being in sciences and technology, engineering, and math, and I think sometimes we have not met them. And so I have one of my favorite characters, Peter Sellers, as Dr. Strangelove. And it turns out incoming freshmen, about a third of them, have the intention of becoming majors in STEM disciplines, that is science, technology, education, and mathematics, which most of you are familiar with that acronym. And yet less than 25% finish a STEM degree in 4 years at universities and colleges. And even having an extra year, 5 years, only 35% finish their degree. This is the latest data from last year. This contrasts with non-STEM majors, where 61% finish a degree in 4 years and 74% finish in 5 years. So being a faculty member in that STEM discipline, we must be concerned, particularly since there seems to be a need for people with these skills. The National Resource Council of the National Academies has looked into this many times, and in their latest report they said that improved availability of required courses is critical for reducing STEM dropout rate in the United States, particularly among groups underrepresented in STEM disciplines. And by underrepresented groups, they've found that many of them often have family and job obligations or live far from campus. And now, obviously, some of you can see where I'm leading with this, that in fact one solution to this is online education. But first of all, we want to, now that we've had about 6-7 minutes to get many of you engaged, and many of you, we don't see too many of you having difficulties, I'd like to find out who you are, what you're doing here. You're wasting just like as radio personalities say, you're squandering a complete hour with me. So would you please fill in these surveys? What your organization is, whether my organization is disorganized. You can put multiple answers. You don't have to. All of these allow multiple answers, and I'm going to show you who we are so that we can actually see what's going on. What your position is, student. If you feel underappreciated, you're more than willing to say that. And you're here because of curiosity, professional interest, digital badge, obligated, meaning someone said you sit through this because I'm not. You're here for the free food. So let's show you, I still see some of those votes coming in. I feel sort of like a television salesperson at this point, but fill in, please, and then we'll show you what you're saying. So hopefully you're able to see this. I'm broadcasting the results for the first survey, the second survey, third survey, and the fourth one. Hopefully you can see that we have a good representation from a college and university. The majority of people are from college or universities. And if you add, you can be counted, stand up and be counted. We have a good representation from agencies, NGOs, or non-governmental organizations. And we have good self-motivated people, and only a few of us are disorganized. We have instructors, practitioners, administrators, students, and underappreciated. So we have hopefully you're seeing this. Can we receive these slides by email? Someone's asking. And in fact, yes, you can. And also, this is being recorded, and you can have access once we're done. You'll have access to the recording. So this is all this will be available to you in its full glory or thereof. Your experience varies from negligible to medium to excessive, or extensive, excuse me, not excessive. Poor, okay, excellent. So most of us are in the middle range. You're here because of professional interest. Good deal. So we have an idea of who we are and why we're here. And the other thing is to show that with this software, hopefully you can see that it can be used for doing quizzes. I could actually break down to view the votes. Should I embarrass someone? Okay. Why don't you raise your hands if you're embarrassed if I show how you voted? And nobody's raising their hands, so I guess we're okay. So I will show who, nobody okay. There we go. So you can use this for a quiz, because then you can actually view Jenny Brown's from several people are self-motivated and from a college and a university. Good. So you can get an idea of how you can use this for your advantage. Let's go hide that and move onward a bit. I assume we're still connected. I hear some people, yeah, we're not getting too much feedback, even giving you all microphone rights. So that's unusual. It shows you are so well behaved. Online courses. How can we address the previous challenge I put out, that how do we make science courses and technology and engineering and math courses more accessible, and particularly for underrepresented groups? And that's where online courses come in. They have advantages in terms of accessibility, availability, flexibility in scheduling, access to expert instructors, expansion of course enrollments. And let's talk about that. In fact, since the material is available at all times, we found with the course I'll describe in just a moment that the only inflexible is when we had webinars for discussion groups. And we have those at 9-10 times a week. And so, in fact, instead of having to schedule a lecture hall and have the facility there and get everybody convened 2 or 3 times a week for hours at a time, people were able to do it at their, not leisure, but at their appointed time that they would choose. That flexibility is extremely advantageous. It also allowed people who had a lot of experience with teaching to offer the course more times, because, in fact, the lecture part was taken care of, and they could attend to the fun part, sort of like reverse teaching, which is a trendy thing where you have the students come prepared, and then you reap the advantages of having students who have gone through some of the material and answer questions or elaborate upon that. So it is fun as an instructor to be involved in such a thing. It allowed me to expand our course enrollments. In fact, the course I'll be describing here, the intention is to offer it for 5 quarters a year. Now, those of you who can do arithmetic, as Bill Clinton said, will realize that how do you get 5 quarters a year? And indeed, we offer 2 summer sessions, so that's how you get 5 quarters a year. It also allows the material to have some consistency and hopefully some quality, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Now, despite these advantages, the latest polls of university and college faculty indicates that 70% of faculty believe that online education is inferior, that it cannot do as good a job as face-to-face course. And I think I'm going to say that this is largely because most faculty take great pride in the quality of their teaching. And I'm always amazed how, despite all indications that teaching may not get the respect it deserves, most college faculty really want to do a good job and actually take time at it and do a job. So that pride comes into the feeling that online is going to be inferior. And what's perhaps a bigger impediment is that the amount of time that converting a course into an online medium takes, it's incredibly time consuming. I can tell from personal experience, and I can relay that, but I don't want to discourage anyone. This is despite numerous studies. In fact, there's been some meta-analyses that have been released by the Department of Education, by other scientific bodies, that shows that through about 10,000 studies of distance learning that online and distance learning can be the equal, and in fact, in general, is superior to face-to-face learning. You know, I won't go that far, but clearly that looking down on online education as inferior is not supported by the evidence. But we all know that despite what one's personal beliefs about online education, we realize that it's happening. And we can try to avoid it or do something about it, but it's going to run us over. The growth of online courses is at 21% per year, where higher education as a whole is only growing at 2% a year. So it's clearly something that is happening and at a fast pace. And in fact, there is a growing trend for free online education. There are MOOCs. I can see that part of this is cut off. That is massive open online courses that are becoming quite popular, at least in the press, and there are some organizations that are doing a very good job with this, including Coursera, edX, and others. So, if we have failed with online education, how are we dealing with other aspects of a topic that's near and dear to many of us, and that is climate change? And there we are also having difficulties. Only 1/3 of U.S. adults believe that climate change is a major problem and derives mostly from human activities. We did have a question that I'll try. Bruce Daniels, we'll get to that as we go along and get a break. I'll show you. We will have a break time for this. To address this, college and university presidents have banded together and made a climate change commitment. But what many of them are not clear about is that they've signed the commitment that within 2 years of signing this document, they will develop an institutional action plan to make climate neutrality and sustainability a part of the curriculum and other educational experience for all students. And this is one of those aspects where it has become quite difficult. I think it's now up to about 700 college and university presidents have made this commitment because, in fact, many institutions, or most institutions, lack sufficient faculty with the appropriate expertise to fulfill this commitment. That is, give each of their students some background in climate neutrality and sustainability. So into the breach came Arnold Bloom, and here's my photo on Times Square protesting him. And for the last decade, I've been teaching a course that has become known as Doom and Gloom with Bloom. And now I'm taking it online, and I'll relay some of the experience of converting a face-to-face course to an online course. Now, I would like to say that it's been largely adopted by my peers at the University of California at Davis. But in fact, the administration and many of our faculty in our academic senate have been preoccupied with other matters. So we will see how we're still trying to go through all the hoops. And I'll tell you what we've done so far and where we're going. First, a little bit about myself, talk about something uninteresting. I'm a recent convert to online education. I was one of those 70% of faculty who felt it was inferior. And it's partly through personal experience with online courses for driver's ed. Also, at the University of California, every 2 years we have to take an online course on ethical behavior and sexual harassment. And these are essentially electronic workbooks. And that is not very challenging, and it's, yes, it does show that the institution is giving its faculty training in ethical behavior and sexual harassment, what the nature of that is, but it doesn't really do the type of education we all seek in our own courses. In fact, if you look at most of the materials that are online, they are computer workbooks, or they're standard classroom lectures, like 1 hour, hour and a half lectures that are recorded and available as video online. And most of the smaller discussion sections are web forums. And we'll talk about our experience with that sort of thing. So I think many people have realized that I don't know, you people are being very patient, and you're going to be online for about an hour, but hopefully we'll have some interactions to make that more appealing. But that attention span of humans online is not 1 hour, and shorter videos are the point, and give you some examples. YouTube does not allow you to post things that are more than 15 minutes. TED Talks, despite the fame and the notoriety of their people giving the TED Talks, limit you to about 15 minutes. Khan Academy has also kind of convened on about 10 to 15 minutes for each of their segments. Coursera has also convened on that same limit, that this seems to be as long as people can actually pay attention. And so, meaning I've talked for about 12 minutes, and so I think I've reached the end of your attention span. But hopefully you will hold on for a little bit longer. So the other thing that most studies have found, that having a personless presentation like Khan Academy does is not as effective as if there is a talking head. I'm going to be this is a test of how old you are if you see this picture and remember the name of this person. You are of a certain age group. I won't mention how old. Yes. Okay. But also in video, we're able to do something that you can't do face-to-face, and this includes image morphing. I actually have one or two lectures where I have a laugh track. I think that's unprecedented, having a laugh track, and then also music. So I'm going to try to show you an example of this, and this is going to take a moment to shift because of bandwidth issues. So be patient with me. Okay. Max Headroom, Dwayne Hampton says, yes, that was Max Headroom. A kindred spirit out there.
Welcome to the course Global Climate Change, Convergence of Disciplines. Shown here is the front cover of our textbook. I imagine some of you are disappointed that your instructor is not Al Gore. But consider this: would you rather take a course from a politician named Gore or a course from a botanist named Bloom? Perhaps it's better that I not know your answer. So why should you take this course? Climate change is likely to be an important factor in your life. It is a complex issue requiring familiarity with many disciplines, including the earth sciences, biology, engineering, economics, law, and sociology. This course provides the rudiments of each of these disciplines. We do not spend any time on the politics of climate change. Rather, we seek to provide sufficient information about the issue for everyone to reach their own conclusions. As part of this process, you will examine the weather records of your hometown, adopt another species, calculate your carbon footprint, consider the relationship between the culture of a country and its environmental policies, and learn to extract useful information about computer climate models from scientific articles that may as well have been written in a foreign language. The course consists of 50 10-minute interactive videos, weekly webinar discussion sections, weekly exercises, assignments, and quizzes, and a midterm and a final exam. It is a lot of work, but those who are diligent tend to ace the course. I look forward to working with you.
Going back to the PowerPoint. Okay. But you could see that there was image morphing that I couldn't do in person. Like in a face-to-face lecture, it would be very difficult for me to convert into Al Gore, or Al Gore didn't convert to me. The music, usually in face-to-face, is not easy to do in a way that's appropriate. People are much more used to hearing background music in a video. Okay, yeah, and it was much more quiet than I am. I'm sorry about the sound, but those are some of the technical difficulties that we get into. So we've gone to short mini lectures, and I'll show you that in a moment. And the reason we've gone to, you might think 12 minutes was short, but we found that when we tracked usage from students that they were watching the 12-minute videos in several sessions. So it became clear to us that 12 minutes is a little bit too long for our students that we have it. So we now have broken it up into about 3 sections minimum, so they're about 4 minutes each. So I'm going to move you to something just a second. And here, share my screen. Here we go. Okay. You should be seeing a website which has all the materials that you need to teach a climate change course. I'm hoping that most of you are able to see that. This is the links to this are, it's climatechangecourse.org, and you'll have those links as part of this in just a moment. What we have here is it's all Creative Commons license, no commercial, no derivatives, because a lot of the materials we use are that way. But it means you can use it as you see fit. There's an introductory video. That's what I just played you. So if you didn't hear the sound or you didn't see it appropriately, this will take you to that YouTube site, and you can do that. There's a syllabus here, and that has, we have the students first fill out this online readiness questionnaire, which has been developed, which essentially says you have to take responsibility for your own learning to a greater extent when you are on an online course. It's set up as a class schedule for a quarter course. So we are on the quarter system at UC Davis, meaning 10 weeks. Those of you who are on the semester system can borrow what you need here and add to it to make it actually a 15-week experience. We have different learning exercises. We'll go into that more, and essay assignments will go into it as well. Readings for each week, and way to get help. So we do have, that's basics here, the syllabus. If you want to learn something about me, there's a page about me of a different picture. If you want to know where to get the textbook, here's the publisher's site. It's a paperback book. It's now, you can buy it used for about $25 and then sell it back for about $15. So for about $10, your students, which is only about 2 cups of coffee, you can have a wonderful textbook for your quarter. So you can also buy it new for about $55 and then sell it or keep it as you may wish. We also have the information here shown as topic sizes are for each of the 10 weeks of a quarter, and of course you can expand these or take what you want for it. So the first week we go into climate change, the history of climate change research, and it shows you the learning objectives, trying to teach students to differentiate between weather and climate, explain the difference of the effect of climate on life at different periods in Earth's history, interpret graph data, and we'll show you a bit of this in just a moment. We have the videos that are relevant to it, the mandatory reading from the textbook and also from other online sources, and the assignment. And I'll talk about that as we go along. We have the mini lectures. I'll go back to that. But the assignments are, we have alternate weeks. We have an exercise, which actually gives you the skills to do the essay for the following week. So the first week is an exercise where we go through how to interpret the climate of Davis, California. You could substitute your own location for this, and that's pretty straightforward if you go through the exercise. And this also gives students a background on how to use a spreadsheet. Now, most students have a spreadsheet on their computers, and most students have computers now, but most have not used it, and we have videos how to do a spreadsheet, so it gives them a skill that actually they'll find worthwhile. Learning objectives there, summary is this. We have a video how to use it. We have where the resources are there. We lead them through the rubric in great detail. If they've never done conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit or vice versa, we show how to do that. We also show them how to find the longitude and latitude of a place. And this gives them the skills to actually move on to the next, which is an essay, where they actually have to pick their hometown. Where it would be great if we could expand this is that in a larger enrollment is that we then have the students characterize climate in their hometown, but then they have to communicate with another student that's from a different place, and they can contrast the changes that they found for their place with another student that may have totally different experience and totally different. Some places climate is warming, and some places it's cooling. It's nice for students to gain that experience by communicating with other students. The second group of two is reading about a global climate model. That's what a GCM stands for. It used to be General Circulation Model, but now it's generally stands for Global Climate Model. One and the same. So they have to read a paper about a global climate model, and this gets them to the fact that scientific literature is scary. And it's got to scare the willies out of you because it is in a foreign tongue. But what can you extract from something that is potentially scary? And then they have to, we assign them one of 22 global climate models, and they have to read original research about it. They have to go to the library, they can talk to the librarian. We have how to do that. That's a good skill. And then from the previous work of reading about a GCM and interpreting, they have to explain their global climate model to other people. The next pair is dealing with biological effects of biosphere and climate change, where they actually get to play with polar bears for the first week, and we talk about how climate change is dealing with the poster child of climate change, polar bears, and they have to interpret the data there. And the next week we have them adopt a species, and they have to explain how climate change may be affecting the species that they've adopted. The next two have to do with carbon footprints. We actually have them calculate what a carbon footprint is, and then we give them the challenge of what would they do to reduce their carbon footprint by 20%, and the following week they have to do it and explain their experience trying to reduce the carbon footprint. And the last has to do with culture and opinions about climate change. We talk about how the culture in the United States may be affecting people's opinions about climate change. And then the following week they go and pick a country and have to describe its culture and how it influences people's opinions about climate change. So those are the assignments. Okay. And they're given quite detailed explanations on how to do each. You can adopt them individually or together. They're there for your use under a Creative Commons license, so use it as you will. We've field tested this. Has been used. All these have been used for at least most of them some for 10 years, some for as short as as for about 3 years. Do we address water issues? Not in these assignments per se, though they can come into it as well. You'll see when we go into the middle mini lectures, there are extensive about what, there's a whole mini lecture about water. So let's go into the mini lectures, if that's okay with you. I'll show you what we're trying to do to break them into smaller bits that are more interactive. So you will not be able to hear this. And so you're going to have to, hopefully you can hear me, and I'll explain what's happening. These are Captivate files, which allow us to do interactive things. So they mix videos, quizzes. So you won't see, you've seen this before. So it goes into that for about 4 minutes and goes into, and then at the end of the 4 minutes, we also, part of that video for 4 minutes goes into the immortal words of Mark Twain. So there's a quiz after that 4 minutes, and this is one question that's taken out of a pool about 5, and that's done randomly. It is also the order of the answers under the question are mixed up randomly. So it's, yeah, you can cheat, but it's a lot of work, and it's probably more fun, and since it counts so little to your grade, it's a lot more work than trying to just figure out what's going on. This Captivate allows you to put the results of this quiz into a learning management system, and so if you can keep track and put it into a grade book very straightforwardly. Yes, someone's asking about the role of energy, and I'll show you, yes, we spend several mini courses talking about the role of energy. Many of them go into that. If you get a chance to look at the website, you'll see there, and look at those videos, you'll see that energy is a very major part of what we go into, as it should be. So what and what? Only a fool will try, well, the correct answer, since I know, is climate is what we expect, weather is what we get. So if we submit that question, oh, lo and behold, I got it right, yay! So we then go into having them look at something about the data that we presented, and they can't be just passive. So here's a slew of precipitation data from Davis, California, and you'll see that by clicking any of these on the right, you can get the actual data for one particular year. And to know that the students actually are learning how to interpret numerical graphs, they have a quiz question. What is precipitation data in Davis, California in August 2003? Oh, they have to go back, and let's click 2003. In August, it was, about 20. I think that's it. Let's see what fits. Oh, let's see. That should be right. Yay, I got it right. Wait. So you can see that they go into another 4-minute video. After that, we have some more illustrations. Here is a reconstruction of the Arctic ice mass in 1979, and they have to go through the last 30 years of Arctic ice masses, and you can see how it's changed from year to year. As we go into more modern times, they've used a slightly different format. And then they have to answer a question there. Like, one of the questions is, how long has there been an open water through the Arctic ice mass at minimum ice? And that turns out the answer is 2007, but this is a different question. What is the Northwest Passage? It's a route from Europe to Asia through the Canadian archipelago. I got it right. So I go into major storms and how climate change is going to major storms. You can look at this at your own leisure. Just at this point, I'm trying to. Then I have another quiz about Hurricane Katrina, and at one point it did nearly fill up the entire Gulf of Mexico if they look at it. Okay. After that, they get a grade for the entire quizzes they've taken as part of this video segment, this mini lecture. If they want to, they can review the quiz and see what they've what the answers were and what they got right, what they got wrong, and why. They can take each quiz twice. We can change that. That's at the discretion of the instructor. So, and then last they have the credits of where I got all the images, and so we've handled the intellectual property issues for the videos. And that someone has been helping me with that, which is very complicated if you've ever done this. Okay, so that's what the mini lectures are doing. Let's see, go back here. And you see there's 48 of them. Some of them deal with energy. We go from fossil power, biofuels, fossil power, carbon capture and storage, nuke, hydro, wind, and all solar and so forth. And I will, the URL, now that I have you chomping at the bit, so all those are there. The first 15 have been brought up into mini segments. I'm working on the 16 to 48 to go from 12-minute segments into the more divided ones that I just demonstrated. So that's a period of time. That will be done in this fall quarter. That's my goal for the fall quarter. And let's go back to document. Okay. Okay. And we try to integrate these things, data visualizations. And this is the URL that you've been clamoring for, now that I've whetted your appetite. And hopefully you can easily get to that place and find it easy to, there's not too much in it. Essentially the main page is all you need. And manipulate yourself around. That's where we are. Okay. The assignments, as I said, they're paired exercises and essays. Again, they develop a set of skills and then use them into a writing assignment. Again, the website. Now, what I didn't discuss is discussion sections where we actually put a personal touch to it. And this is what we cannot do in a massive open online course. But this is where the value added is worth the price of tuition. So this is where we would we used these webinars that are based on Adobe Connect that we're showing here, and there are certain advantages to Adobe Connect to face-to-face. We've found that web forums are which is standardly used, did not work for us. We used Piazza, which is an excellent piece of software. I don't know if any of you have had a chance. How many of you have used Piazza as a tool? Anyone going to raise their hand? Use your emoticon. That's the upper right-hand thing if you have used Piazza. I don't think anyone used. I do recommend it. It is of an online forum for web classes. It's very, very good. But the students actually indicated that it was the least valuable part of the course. Now, I hope that would say that that all the other components of the course were very valuable, and that's why they rated this as the least valuable. But it really did point out that web forums really don't quite do it. So we used Adobe Connect that we're using here today. One thing we found from very experienced TAs who spent a lot of time on this, Sakai. Actually, the learning management system that we're using at Davis is Sakai. Let me answer your questions as they come up so they're still pertinent. Dan asked, is this a general education class at Davis? Yes, it is. It provides general education credit for science, engineering, social sciences, cultural diversity, writing, and numerical, and also oral presentation. It gives them general ed credit for everything. It hits all the bases there. They can only pick 2 of them, but they can fill any of those requirements. Mike Weintraub said, thanks. To be clear, you are allowing others to use these course materials with attribution in your courses, including online. Yes, indeed. That's the whole point, is to make this widely available. Leanne Nurse says she uses Sakai at Antioch University. That's what we're using here at Davis. And supposedly, though, I haven't done it yet, these quizzes can feed their information into Sakai in the gradebook at Sakai. Okay. So, back to Adobe Connect. Thank you for your questions. It's, as I said, the interaction is pretty, allows us, even with, we have 42 participants or so, it allows, now we're down to 40, I lost a few. This does allow us to make this more interactive, and that's a skill that I'm trying to develop. We found that 40 would be a little bit too much. We lost another person. That in fact, that where we normally would have a level of interaction with 20 face-to-face students, we found that 12 in an online discussion group was about the equivalent with the amount of interaction. It's pretty hard with 12 students to hide, even in a web page, particularly when you're asking them questions and they have to use their emoticons, have to relate on the chat pace. We also can put with 12 students all their web cameras on, and therefore can determine how many people are surfing, watching a Netflix movie versus that. It takes a lot of prep, but we found the level of engagement was worthwhile. Students really did think that they were as engaged or more engaged with these webinars than they were with in-person discussion groups. There are advantages that things you can do with these online webinars that you can't do in face-to-face. And I'm going to try something now. It may be a complete failure, but that's what's science without failure. So here we go. Adobe Connect allows you to break everybody into little breakout rooms. So we all know that one pedagogical technique is to have all the students discuss something with their neighbors. And what happens is you break into like 3 or 4 students and they all talk, and you have this cacophony in your lecture hall where nobody can hear one another, or at least can focus. I'm not very good at it. The nice thing about, well, you do it in your discussion group with 20 students and you still get 8 different conversations that are difficult. Here, we can break you into, and I will do this now for a few minutes, breakout rooms where you can only hear 1 or 2. Since you all have microphone rights, you should be able to talk and hear with one another. So we're going to break out. Break out. Here we go. And I can go between breakout rooms and see what you're actually doing. Okay, start breakouts. Here we go. Gone as far as we go, and we've run out of time. I can hear you. Yay! Now it's clear to report. Thank you for the feedback, Jessica, and that. We are having technical difficulties as we're not supporting. So the results, I'll go through this very quickly. We've done it to a number of people. Bandwidth, software sometimes fail you. And it's here. We shouldn't have tried the breakout. We found that we can't hold webinars after 5 p.m. because students in dormitory rooms are by the fact that most of their students come back to their rooms and play. Equipment compliance is poor. Try to get students to use headsets, but that also doesn't always work. So the pedagogy evaluations of the course online was similar to face-to-face. Students felt connected. Performance was slightly below, but we found it's because students were using this as the same course because the ease of going online. Well, I'm done. And I apologize for losing most of you, but those things happen.